Hey, what's up everyone? Thunderbob here, and tonight I am going to do a video on CoinOpsx versus the One Sauce. I've used both pretty extensively now, and I wanted to do a quick comparison of the two, the benefits and limitations of each. To start off with, CoinOpsx runs on the current firmware, so you get a lot of benefits by being on that firmware, things like the lobby that they added, voice chat, leaderboards work correctly. Kind of the system itself is just more up to date. There's been a lot of fixes over time. It's also a little bit less risky, meaning there's always the chance when you run old firmware or you install something, you overclock the system, it could have problems. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing this. Now the One Sauce runs on an older firmware 4.15 or 4.20. I've tested some things out. There's no lobby, no voice chat, leaderboards don't function. ArcadeNet does work, however. You can actually stream games if you've got an ArcadeNet account. Even the newly added games seem to be working. And overall, there are some major benefits that I'm going to get into beyond just the firmware and those kind of things. The first off would be the interface, and I'm going to do a comparison here of the two. So we're going to stop this video. Okay, to start with, here is CoinOpsx. It's a pretty good interface. I enjoy it, though it has its issues. You can only cycle through your playlists one direction by hitting the X button. So if you have a lot of playlists, it can be quite frustrating. Like I've got probably 15 or 20 playlists, and it can take, 30, 40 seconds to cycle through it. There's also only one level to these playlists, meaning arcade, you can't go into arcade and then go into the genre of arcade. You actually have to have all the playlists on a single level, which limits you to some extent. It's also just a little bit slower. Everything just feels kind of less snappy than the One Sauce, which I'll show you in a moment. Overall, it's okay. They've kind of shoehorned in CoinOps, which is a PC front end, into the Legends Ultimate, and I feel like they've made some compromises along the way. I like CoinOps quite a lot, but I feel like this version has some issues that the PC version does not. And that brings us right into the One Sauce, and right off the bat you'll see it's a bit snappier, like it just moves quicker, the interface is just faster. And here's what I was talking about with the playlists. You'll notice I'm in the arcade, and you've got all games, collections, genres, systems, and then from there I can go into systems, and I can see like here's all the Sega export and Naomi, and I'm 3 tiers in at this point, whereas with CoinOpsx you have a single tier to your playlist. It's just not as good for finding things, not as quick, and I really like the look of the interface. And I do give points to One Sauce over CoinOps. I think it is a better interface overall, but they're less limited by AtGames and the release schedule from AtGames. And moving on from the interface, we get into the actual games that will run in these systems. So the One Sauce will run everything that CoinOpsx can run. There's no exceptions there. But there's a ton of games that the One Sauce will run that CoinOps cannot. Crazy Taxi is an example. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This is maybe my grail as far as getting it run on the Legends Ultimate. And it runs pretty well. We're talking 30 to 40 frames per second. Games for the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, the Nintendo 64, arcade systems like Naomi or Atomiswise will run that will not run on CoinOps. It's just not possible. Maybe down the road we'll figure it out, but at the moment the only way to get these running without a external device like a computer or a Pi would be to use the One Sauce. Another game that I really wanted to get running on here is Gauntlet Legends, and the Dreamcast version runs pretty well. I'm getting 30 frames per second here, which I think might be more than it got originally, and it runs quite well. I've beaten a couple of levels on it, and so these type of games without a computer or a Pi, you're not playing it except with the One Sauce. So that's something else. It's the interface and the games that will only run on One Sauce. So I guess what it really comes down to it is, do you want the latest firmware and to be able to play online with other people through ArcadeNet? Do you want to use the lobby system? And to be honest, in the last year, I've used those things very sparingly. The idea of being able to just turn on this arcade and play PlayStation 64, Dreamcast, Naomi, all these systems, 3DO, is pretty amazing. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting my Legends Ultimate up with the One Sauce, and I've got a Gamer Pro that just arrived, and I'm going to run CoinOps and keep the firmware up to date on that machine. Basically use that as my up-to-date leaderboard machine, and then the Ultimate cabinet as playing all the other games that won't play on CoinOps. Now the rest of this video I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to show off how to actually get the One Sauce running on your machine. Please be aware you have to be running a 1.0 cabinet. This will only work on the Legends Ultimate 1.0. If you try this on a 1.1, on one of their pinball machines, on a Gamer Pro or Core or any other device, it's going to brick it when you try to downgrade your firmware. So please only do this on a Legends Ultimate 1.0, and if you've got any questions, please see the Awesome Sauce Facebook group, as they are very helpful and friendly and will guide you on this. Hey, what's up everyone, ThunderBob here, and tonight I'm going to briefly show you how to install the One Sauce. I'm not going to go super in-depth, kind of high level, and if anyone has questions, please just leave a comment below. I want to keep this short and sweet. So to start with, you can find all of this on archive.org. I'm going to have a link in the description below. And these are all of the different packs for the different systems, the fixes, and I'm going to go through these files. First off, the main one, One Sauce main file and arcade pack, you need to start with this one. This is kind of the base of everything. You install this, and then also this arcade fix, which fixes a couple of bugs. From there you can kind of install any add-ons you want, though if you do install the PlayStation Volume 1, there is a PlayStation fix as well. So my order was arcade, fix, PlayStation, fix, and from there I really just drag and dropped everything kind of at once. So beyond that, you do need to be running either firmware 4.15 or 4.20. The recommended is 4.15 because that will allow you to use this GPU mode. This is something that will enhance the GPU, overclock it in a way. And some of these will actually run better, like the Dreamcast Core and Naomi in particular run better with this enabled. It doesn't impact a lot of others, like MAME doesn't use the GPU, the PlayStation doesn't use the GPU. But if you're going to be playing Dreamcast, I would highly recommend you run 4.15 and use this GPU mode. So next off, I'm going to briefly show you how to install the firmware. Okay. So here's what it looks like if you download everything. This is 500 and something gigabytes with the second PlayStation pack that was more recently released. And to show you, here are the two firmware updates, 4.15 and 4.20. And here are the installation instructions. This is what was provided previously when AtGames was more easily providing the older firmwares and letting you install them directly. It seems like you can only get this from them now if you actually request it, though there are repositories out there that have all the old firmwares. But basically you download the image files, these are two image files, rename it to ha8800_update.img, which for these is basically just take off the underscore 4.15 or underscore 4.20. Put it under the root directory of the USB drive. Insert that thumb drive into your Legends Ultimate. A prompt should show up indicating there's an update. Select yes to reboot and follow the instructions. It's pretty easy. The one thing you might run into is if you have it turned off to show file extensions, you might actually have like a hidden file extension here. So like, let's say I deleted this. You could actually have .img, but in the view settings up here, you can actually make it where you can see the actual, let's see, where is it? Yeah, here it is, hide extensions for known file types. If you check this, now you notice you lost the .img. So you can actually have .img that you typed in, but then there's also a hidden extension. So just something to keep in mind. And after that's installed, you'll have all of these packs ready to go. And what you'll want to do is simply export them to the drive in question. So you want to start with the arcade pack, which is up here. Now these are in folders and then zipped. So what you want to do is just open up the zip file. I would not recommend right-clicking and extracting, as sometimes you'll end up with additional folders you don't want. And this content in this sauce folder are what are always at the highest level in the drive. So basically you want to drag and drop this into your flash drive. It'll take some time, it's 50 gigs or something. And then you want to do your update as well. Your arcade update, I have all those in a folder here. Run your first update, the arcade update. Basically same thing, you drag and drop content over content and it will just overwrite the files, and then you can move on to whichever one you want to do next. PlayStation. You'll see content folder. Just drop it right on top of the existing content folder and it will fill in the blanks for you. It'll copy files where they need to go, and so on and so forth. And when this is all done, it's actually quite easy. You just plug it into your Legends Ultimate. So when you're all done, I would also recommend installing the GPU fixes like I mentioned before. Sauce folder right here, just drag and drop it, and in the end you will have something that looks like this. So here is my drive with everything on it. Content, sauce, everything is actually some other files I have stored on this 2 terabyte backup drive. It will actually work even with another folder at the top level here, if anyone's wondering. From here, you can go into Sauce and you can see here is the actual UCE file that launches Retrophi, and then the GPU on-demand and performance modes. These are what will come up on the screen when you start it. Content. And this is kind of the structure of everything. I want to just point out 1 or 2 things while I'm in here. You can go into Retrophi, go into Collections, and here are all of your systems. Let's say you want to add a game or delete a game. Let's say Sega Dreamcast. There are tons and tons of games for Sega Dreamcast. You can come right in here. And if you delete a file in here, it will not show up on your list. And I actually had a second drive that I'm utilizing. It's only 250 gigabytes. And I went in and deleted a lot of games I wasn't going to play. So you could sort by size, you could sort by name, and delete stuff, add stuff. If you add stuff, it will automatically show up on the list, though you will need to add art if you like art. So this is in the Retrophi folder, in the Collections folder. That's an important one. So now you've got this hard drive with your sauce folder, your content folder. You plug this drive into your Legends Ultimate. Of course, this is after you've already downgraded to 4.15. And after some time on a spinning drive, it could take 30 seconds to a minute on a flash drive or SSD. It should be pretty quick. You will see the icons show up, and from here you can enable the GPU performance mode just by selecting and clicking A, and then you can launch Retrophi, and that will take you directly into the interface. Should just take a few seconds, and you'll see a loading bar, and then you will be in the One Sauce. Again, this video was shot on my hard drive rather than an SSD. It's usually a bit snappier than this, but there we go. Now you are in the One Sauce. You can go through arcades, consoles, handhelds, computer, change the interface, everything. Overall, I am quite impressed with the One Sauce. I think I'm going to keep this on my main cabinet and use my Gamer Pro for other things and keeping the firmware up to date. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll be happy to help. I would highly suggest checking out the One Sauce, the Awesome Sauce Facebook group. And I'm also going to leave a link below for archive.org where you can find these files. If you like this video, check out some of my others. I have a bunch of Retro and Legends Ultimate content. And if you like it, think about subscribing. I would appreciate it. Thank you again and have a great night.